Hello everyone, Ben Friedman here, and we are getting back on the recording saddle, so to speak, with a little number I like to call Eldrazi Tron. This is a modern deck, obviously. It's not quite Bant Eldrazi, it's not quite Tron, it's something kind of in between, and I have, from my various confidants and informants in the modern metagame, I have heard that this is a surprisingly powerful deck. I don't know that on paper it looks quite as good as the results I'm hearing, but the results that I'm hearing from some of these guys are remarkable, to say the least. So we're going to give it a shot in the league, and I figure, if I'm going to give it a shot in the league, why not share it with you all? So let's take a quick look at what makes this deck tick. We've got, obviously, 4 Eldrazi Temple, the core of any Eldrazi deck. We've got 4 Ghost Quarter. Now, this is a card that's pretty nice against a lot of Modern. There's a healthy number of decks that don't really have any basic lands, in which case this is just a straight-up strip mine. Even against the decks that have basics, you can kill Inkmoth Nexus, you can kill Blinkmoth Nexus, you can kill opposing Academy Ruins, opposing Tron pieces. There's a lot to like about Ghost Quarter. We got 1 Sanctum of Ugin and 1 Sea Gate Wreckage, of course. These are just decent value lands. And, of course, we've got our Urza Tron, Urza's Tower, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Mine. And these bad boys allow us to turbocharge our mana. We've got 2 wastes as well. And then we've got 4 Expedition Map, as well as 2 Basilisk Collar. And you might say, Basilisk Collar, that's kind of a strange card. I mean, that's not really a modern staple. What's the deal with Basilisk Collar? I don't understand. And to be honest, I personally don't really understand either. It seems like the kind of card that doesn't really fit into the strategy, but there's a lot of decks in Modern that this card really screws up. I'm not surprised that it's done well. I mean, if you're playing against any number of the kind of mid-rangey Grixis or Jund decks, Basilisk Collar is pretty good. If you're playing against Burn, it's obviously great. There's one little card that it combos with pretty well, and that one is over this way. Let's scroll. Yeah, the mana costs go crazy. You got Walking Ballista, 4 Walking Ballistas, and Walking Ballista combined with Basilisk Collar is super, super nice, and I think that's the point here. It enables lots of removal with the Ballista. You've got 3 Dismember, of course, as well as 4 Matter Reshaper, and the Dismember life loss is offset by the Basilisk Collar lifelink, which is good. You got 4 Thought-Knot Seer. That's the kind of obvious powerful Eldrazi that you want to be casting on turn 3. And you got Reality Smasher. You've got Endbringer. You've got Karn Liberated and All Is Dust. So, we've got an Eldrazi package that kind of smoothly shifts all the way into a larger Tron package, up to and including Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Then you've got Chalice of the Void, which is kind of an odd duck here. It's good if you set it on 1, but you have a bunch of 1-drop cards yourself, so you have to be ready to kind of hit yourself with the Chalice. But the idea is, against the decks where you want to set it on 1, it's so game-ending that it doesn't really matter. If you set it on 2, that can actually be really, really good as well. And 4 mana is a lot to ask, but it's not too much to ask, because there's plenty of decks that can't beat a Chalice set to 2. Many of the mid-rangey fair decks can't really do much about it. Incidentally, a Chalice on 0 actually does a pretty big number against Affinity and against any deck with Lotus Bloom. I'm looking at decks like Ad Nauseam. So I'm cautiously optimistic about these cards. But let's take a look at the sideboard here. We've got We've got 2 copies of Relic of Progenitus here and here. You've got 3 Ratchet Bombs. Ratchet Bomb is, again, good against Affinity, good against the little aggro decks. We've got a pair of Pithing Needles. We've got 3 Spatial Contortions and 2 Warping Wails as removal, and Warping Wail obviously counters sorceries, as the card says right there, so that can prove quite useful. And then we've got some Surgical Extraction, so we're prepared to beat up on Dredge, we're prepared to attack various combo decks, we've got some removal. I'm hype. I'm ready to see what this deck can do, because, I mean, it looks clunky and bad, but I think that this deck should destroy a good number of the decks in Modern. So let's get to battling, right?